Hello, hello, hello. Confessions of a former side chick. Let me tell you, let me fix my stuff here. Let me tell you, I did not want to title this Confessions of a Former Side Chick, but it kept showing up in my head whenever I thought about going live today. It was like, do I really want to do a confessional about my time as the other woman? And the lessons I learned? I don't. Hello and welcome. So I'm going to take this really slow because I do want to share some things with you all, and there's definitely a little bit of fear around this topic for me. So yes, welcome to Confessions of a Former Side Chick. Now, whatever judgment you have around what that means to you, let's just work it through your body and just get it out, because, and I'm putting a timer on this. I don't plan on being here past like 20 minutes. But I want to talk about some of the things that I learned as the other woman and how this can assist people in their relationships, right? And so since I have this no shame policy really around sex or our sexual activities, let me say that at this point, I don't have any shame about the other positions that I've held. More women than you realize are seeing men who are in relationships with other women, and no, it's not polyamorous, which I am polyamorous. But I want to share from the men's side what I learned, because I think that it's helpful for the women. And I want to share from the women what I learned about things that men need that I don't think are often spoken of. So let me say first, I don't condone cheating. I don't think that cheating is a good idea. I am not a fan. It's one of the reasons why I am so honest with things, including being honest with you all. Hey, Brooklyn Finest, how are you? One of the reasons that I am so honest in my relationships is because I watched people lie, and I don't want to be that person. And I've also been the person who has cheated on someone. Right. So I've done all the wrong things. I've done all the right things. And I've had a very human experience. So what did I learn during my time seeing men who were in relationships with other women, and the women didn't know about it? What I learned was that men don't seek out outside relationships because of sex, which is a common misconception that a lot of people have, that a lot of women have who are cheated on. I think I was cheated on. I'm not sure, but cheating doesn't hold weight for me. Like even before that, that wasn't my particular deal breaker. I don't know why, but it just wasn't. Before I ever cheated, it just wasn't. But men seek outside relationships often because they are looking for a non-judgmental space in which they can fully be themselves. Now, why can't they do that in their relationship, right? Valid question. They can. However, oftentimes, and this is why I was talking about the reel that I did around shame. Yeah, me too. Oftentimes, what happens is when people come into relationships, they come in under what's called their representative, right? And so they're presenting a certain persona, and really they're afraid to be the person that they really are. And so men and women will get into these relationships, and women will lie about who they are. Men will lie about who they are. And then once they come together, they find that it's difficult to start having honest conversations, because you spent so much time already pretending to be someone in order to get someone, that now it becomes really difficult to start from scratch and just be completely honest with each other. And so then when men attempt to be honest, and men's communication skills with women are not all that great, because no one has taught them, not because men are horrible people, but no one has taught them how to communicate with women. And so men's communication skills aren't that great. And so when they try to approach topics of conversation with the women that they're with, it doesn't come off well. And the women often get defensive out of fear, right? So women get defensive out of fear, but they don't want to say, "Ooh, I'm afraid." So the women will get angry, and then men will shut down and say, "Never mind, I won't talk about it." Now, everyone's feelings are valid in this, right? Because this isn't a right or wrong thing. But so now he may try to bring something up. It brings up fear in her and insecurity. The conversation is shut down. And over time, he begins to feel like he can't approach his woman, who's no longer his friend. She's his woman. She's his wife. She's his girlfriend, but not his friend. And so now he still has this longing for the friend in a non-judgmental way, someplace where he can just be fully himself without having to worry about all of the expectations that he set up for himself because he wasn't honest with who he was in the beginning. And so men will find themselves in relationships outside of their relationships. And so then I was that friend. I was that person who created the non-judgmental space. Now, there are women who will say, well, it's because he wasn't doing all this and that and the other over there, and it was just the fun times in a relationship, to which I say, it can be fun times in your relationship too. See, we have this idea, and this is why for women it's really important, and why I work with women. Because so many of us have been given this idea of what good girls do, bad girls do, because so many of us have been given this idea of what it means to be a good woman, we will hide portions of ourselves, that men need, y'all. They need it. And really, we need it too. We got to let that, it's just sometimes it's important to just let out the flirty, slutty, all of that, like all of the fullness, whatever version that is for you, right? We got to let that out in the relationship. But so many of us don't want to, out of fear, like we're going to be judged. We can't do that. And then we get into relationships. And I did this too, like I did it in my marriage too. We get into relationships and we get really serious. We get really serious. Like it becomes like life or death. And we stop having fun with it. We stop having fun. And then, often, and I have said this too, we want him to grow up. It's like you married this guy. You decided to date this man. You decided to be in a relationship with this man. You knew who he was when you were dating him. But all of a sudden now you want him. My ex-husband had a huge comic book collection, y'all. I was not going to ask. I could not ask him to put it away. Now, he could have cut down on some of that video game playing for sure, right? There were other things that definitely needed to be done. But we start criticizing all of these things that they were doing because we want to somehow get it right or get some idea of a relationship. And so we stop being fun. We stop being their friend. Now, this doesn't mean that a man stepping outside of a relationship is a woman's fault, because remember what I said in the beginning is that both parties come to the table not being completely honest with what they desire, because they're so busy trying to get someone. And we're so afraid of rejection and so afraid of losing someone that we'll lie. So it's like, if I were to date a guy who's an avid outdoorsman, right? I've been camping once, y'all. Once I've been camping. Do I like the outdoors? I do. I love going for long walks on beaches and all that. Do I want to spend time in a yurt every month? I do not. I do not. But let's say I lie about that, right? And women do this. I want y'all to understand women do this. I lie about it and I say, oh yeah, I love the outdoors. Yeah, because he got a good job and he's smart and he looks great and he smells good. That's important, the smell. Yeah, I love the outdoors. And he's like, great. And while y'all are dating, you're all about the outdoors, because you want this man because you're really afraid to be alone. And you're afraid of the rejection. And you're afraid that if you say, I don't like the outdoors, this man won't want to be with you. And so you get into the relationship and, let's say it leads down the aisle and it's great. And then after marriage, men will tell you what happens. I don't feel like going outside. Can we do something else instead? Do we have to go camping? Can we go camping, but can we do it this way? I like it this way. Can we switch it up and do it this way? And dude's like, to make you happy, fine, we'll do it that way. So now you're glamping. You got like a motorhome and you're doing all the things, right? But now he's not fulfilled. And then now this little thing, it seems like a little thing, starts to cause these little pebbles of resentment to show up in the relationship. The little pebbles show up. They show up. Eventually, not saying this is correct, but because men have not been given the proper communication skills and society has let them know that them expressing their emotions is not really the move, they will shut down. Men, don't do that, please. We got to learn how to stop doing that, okay? But they will shut down and then they will say, you know what? Forget it. And you ladies, you all know you've been in an argument with a dude. You're talking. He's like, you're right, you got it. You're right. If he's doing that, he's checked out. He's done. And so now he meets somebody, going to buy some camping gear, and she's really gung-ho about it because she's talking about this shoe and that shoe. And that passion in him is reignited. He loves this woman that he's with. He has no desire to leave that woman. He loves her. It's just this one over here has reignited something that he thought he had over here, but now it's gone, and he's sitting there torn. I'm telling you, he's sitting there torn, trying to figure out, I feel so alive over here because this was alive, but now it's not, and I don't understand what happened, and she seemed all for it, and now she's not, but this one over here, and the next thing you know, he's over there. Now, again, I'm laying out factual information. This is not saying that it is the woman's responsibility to make sure her man doesn't cheat. There's no way, that's not a thing, y'all. That's not a thing, all right? I'm not about sexing your man so much so he doesn't cheat or doing everything he wants so he doesn't cheat. That's ridiculous, and it makes women neurotic. What I am saying is, it's important to be honest, both of you, up front. So honesty would look like, yeah, I really enjoy camping and all that. Hey, you know what? I think I've done it once. I'm not really a fan. Now, I don't mind trying it with you to see what it feels like or what it's like, but I don't really think that this is a thing for me. And then him saying, well, you know what? I really need someone who's into that. And her saying, that's not me. And that's it. But again, people aren't even having that level of honest conversation. They're not. And now let me be clear, women cheat too. Like I said, I cheated as well. Right? But this is what I learned from watching men and listening to them when I was in the position of being that friend who helped them to reignite or refuel their passion. And listen, y'all, let me tell you something. I never want these people to come and be my man. Like, let me just be very clear. I had no desire to steal nobody's man. Like, please go home to your wife. Like, I don't need you to leave her and come be with me. Absolutely fucking not. Absolutely not. But I would spend time. I know, ironic, right? I spent time speaking with them about their relationships and the things that they could do to communicate with these women because they loved these women. And you might say, well, if you love somebody, how could you do that to them? Because you're not doing it to them, and love can be really complicated. Relationships can be really complicated for some people who don't have the skills, who are still dealing with childhood wounds of abandonment that they don't even know that they have. y'all are getting into relationships and you don't even realize that your partner has been sexually abused or molested. You don't understand why they won't perform sexual acts, and you think that it's a rejection of you when it's them trying to protect their space, but they're not saying anything to you. And so you take it personally. All of this information, I figured at least if I'm going to be hanging with married men, if I'm going to be with guys who have girlfriends or who are doing whatever, let me, maybe this was, I thought, could be part of my penance, right? Let me gather this information so that when I speak to women and when I, coach women, I have some insider information for them in terms of what it means to be in a relationship with a man. Because I kind of got to see a different side of things. Do I recommend that people be in hidden relationships? No. And like I said, one of the things that I learned from all of that was the importance of honesty, and I'm extremely honest. I don't lie to the people that I'm with at all. I don't. They will always know when I'm seeing someone. If they don't want to know, they don't want to know. But I will never be like, you're the only one. You're going to be the only one. I wouldn't do that to someone, especially if I know I'm polyamorous. Unless we have a conversation about it and I say, I'd really like to make this a thing with just the two of us. I'm not an advocate for cheating. But I do want to explain, hey, Natural Hands. I do want to explain, I just wanted to explain just a little bit of why it is that some, not all, right? That some men cheat. What's going on in their mind, to let you all know it's not really about, it's not about the sex. It's just that the sex is the way that men have been conditioned to connect with women. That a lot of times what they're really looking for is the friendship and the companionship without the stress and the pressure that they're feeling. And it doesn't mean that the wife or the girlfriend is bad or doing something wrong. But what it means is that honest conversation isn't happening. What needs to be happening for the men, what needs to be happening is instead of coming to see women like me, or used to, because I'm not doing that anymore, y'all. I'm just letting you know, I don't do that anymore, okay? I don't do that anymore. In fact, real quick, the last time, before the whole world shut down in 2019, and I was going to start dating again, and I put on my profile that I was polyamorous, and there was this one guy, and we had a really great connection. Ooh, great connection. And he told me he was in an open relationship. And I was like, oh, okay, great. Like, I love this type of honesty. Amazing, except for he wasn't honest. Because his woman ended up contacting me here on Instagram to ask me. It's just like, hey. It was a very mature conversation, though, right? She's like, hey, are you seeing him? And I was like, yes. And I knew, right? We know as women, we know. And she was like, well, are you in love with him? I was like, no. We'd only been seeing each other like a month or two. I was like, no, I'm not. But I told her what he told me. I was like, look, I didn't know. Hopefully I came back. Hopefully. Okay, good. Let me know if you can't hear me, because my phone sometimes does that. I told her what he told me, and I was like, look, I won't be seeing him again, because I wasn't trying to do that. I wasn't trying to do that anymore, right? When you know better, you do better. But since I was there, let me impart some knowledge as much as I can to the men and women out there. So for the men, here's what I will say. Cheating for many women is one of the worst things that you can do. It can single-handedly destroy her faith in men. It breaks her heart and her trust in ways that make it so difficult for the next man. And while it should not be that way, and while she should not take out on the next man what you did to her, because we're humans, it happens. And she'll need to heal for sure before getting into another relationship. But why make it even more difficult? It is really important for men to stand in their truth and stop being afraid of being shamed or being judged. And I get it. I know it's challenging because I know men are shamed and judged a lot, y'all. You think they're not, but they are. They really are. And they want to do their best to uphold this image that's been given to them. And they don't want to let anyone down, especially when they do love a woman. They don't want to let her down. Their ego gets crushed, and they would rather lie and be there than be seen as the bad guy, than be seen as the guy who failed. So I want y'all to understand that about men. And that, like, I know it may sound like I'm saying, oh, they lie because they care, but really, they lie because they care, and it sucks because as women, we don't think that way. But I'm imploring the men, look, if you find yourself in a situation where you're not excited with your relationship, where the friendship has disappeared or seems to have gone, where the woman you thought you married has now seemed to turn into someone else, it's really important for you to get a coach, get some counseling, get some therapy, get some something, and see if she will do the same. And be honest with her about how you feel. Lately in our relationship, I have been feeling neglected is something I hear from men, right? Neglected is the word. They're not going to say abandoned, but they'll say neglected. And ladies, when he tells you that, that's not the time for you to go, well, I've been feeling this way too, because it's not the time for that. It's not the time, because I'm going to be real mad if some man listens to this live stream and he's like, yes, and he goes back and he's like, Maisha said, I tried to do that, and she was like, and came back to me with like 10 things that were wrong on her side. And so then I said, you know what? Never mind, you got it. She's not listening to me. She won't hear me. What about the women who know their men are unfaithful but are more concerned about the image to maintain? Well, that's fine by me. I mean, if a woman, look, I hold no judgment. I'm polyamorous. I hold no judgment against people who want to have other relationships. If there's a woman in a relationship with a man and she's perfectly happy with her life, and like wealthy people do this all the time, y'all. All the time. The whole pool boy thing, all the time. If she's okay with the lifestyle she has and she knows that her man has a girlfriend someplace else and she's good with it, my only thing is, sis, are you doing you? Like, are you good? Like, do you have a boo-boo somewhere? Are you like, what's happening with you? Are you drinking and binge eating because you really don't like it, but you feel like you can't say anything? Because that's a no-no. But there are some women out there who are really perfectly fine with it. Like, he doesn't bother me. I don't bother him. Their marriage is a business. It's a business. There are people out there who really believe that. And I that's fine. Everything can be fixed with honest conversation. We want peace. I know you do, the poet. I know. And yes, it can be fixed with honest conversation. And here's the thing. Fixed doesn't mean y'all work out. Sometimes fixed means the relationship ends. Sometimes that's what fixed means. Sometimes fixed means releasing the fantasy of the relationship that you thought you wanted to have because it did look good, because your Christmas cards look nice, because everybody says you guys are such a great couple. Sometimes it means releasing that so you can actually have a real relationship. Relationship means to relate to someone, to relate to them, right? And sometimes we have to get rid of the fantasy of a relationship. And so, honesty, that's what it is. All right, so I will say that. So again, for the men, I encourage you to be honest. I know it's hard because women, we don't always make it easy for men to be honest. And so for the women, what I will say is, if your man is coming to you to discuss some things about the relationship that he's not happy with, just listen. It doesn't mean that you are a horrible person or haven't fulfilled some ideal of what it means to be a wife and a girlfriend. It means he's bothered by some things. And maybe he's bothered by those things because they have nothing to do with you, but they remind him of something else. But we won't know that if we don't just listen and not take it personally. In a room I'm in on Clubhouse, one of the moderators, Tina, has been going over the book, The Four Agreements. I highly recommend reading The Four Agreements and The Mastery of Love by Don Miguel Ruiz. I highly recommend reading it. So we can stop taking things personally in relationships, because instead of listening to each other, what happens is we hear the thing and we want to defend ourselves. And once we're in defensive mode, the other person's going to do the same. And whatever that issue was, it never gets resolved. So if he comes to you and he says, I've been feeling neglected, is there a way for us to spend some time together? The boy in him is communicating with you to say, I really want some hugs. I want some time. I want some you. Like, I love you. I want you. I want you. I need you. How can we make that happen? And when we respond with, well, I've been so busy, and if you just did X, Y, and Z, it gets shut down. He opened his heart to say to you, I need you. And what we heard was, you're not good enough. And so we go to defend ourselves, and he gets shut down. Now, men, same thing for women as well, right? So if she's saying, if she's feeling away and she's saying, I need X, Y, and Z, and you tune her out, you've done the same thing. You shut her down. All right, I stayed on here a little longer than I wanted to. So just giving a little game from someone who's had a chance to listen to men talk about their relationships from the other side of things. Some of my confessions of, former side chick. I hold no shame in any of that. This was all part of my learning process. And I use the lessons that I learned from that in what I do, in helping men to communicate with women better so they don't reach out to someone outside the relationship unless that's the agreement. And so women understand men better and understand themselves better. And so y'all just choose wisely and honestly and with openness. All right. Tonight, speaking of this, tonight on Clubhouse, I'm doing a room. The poet who was here will actually be here. I don't know if Maurice is still here. I'm doing a room on Clubhouse with some Black men in there, and the link is in my stories. You can roll through. It's about how do Black men express their emotions. I've had the privilege, even if it was in what some would say the wrong way, of viewing Black men expressing their emotions, of crying to me and discussing things to me and being that, that secret person. And it's really important, I think, that women understand how men experience their emotions and process their emotions, because it helps to give us insight into what's going on. So when we see the man in our lives, seeming or acting a certain way, we have more clarity around it. And some of us weren't raised around enough men to know what that looks like. And that's just the honest truth. I've had women say to me that they did not realize men had any emotions at all. So imagine you're getting into a relationship with a man and you don't think he actually feels anything. You just think he feels anger and horny. You don't think he feels sad or scared. Some men are scared, y'all. And they're scared of letting you down, because they want to be all they can be, and they don't even feel like they can come and let you know they're scared, because they feel like they're going to hear, And some people will say, don't come to me with that. Take that to your boys. I'm one of those women who I want to know. Come lay your head on my lap and let's discuss what is happening with your fears and what can I do to support you in them, because I want this to be... I don't have a problem being his peace, and I don't have a problem being his safe space, and I don't have a problem with him being that for me. That's just how I roll, right? Okay, so That's it. Tonight on Clubhouse at 8 p.m. we will be discussing Black men and how they express their emotions. I'm looking forward to learning. I don't plan on speaking too much. I may be asking some questions and throwing some things out there, but I have a feeling once the men start rolling, they're going to start rolling. And I'm always looking to learn from men. So the link is in my bio. Thank you to Maurice. Thank you to Cal. Thank you to Triple J, who definitely agreed to be on stage. I'm sure some other men that I love dearly and hold dearly will roll through. Some of them may be some folks that I've known in some other spots, but y'all won't know that. But we're still friends. I like to walk away as friends. I like to leave my men better than how I found them, no matter how I found them. All right, so some men may join us on the stage as well. So I hope that you find us there on Clubhouse. Like I said, the link is on my stories, and I hope to see you there this evening because I think that this is important when it comes to healing relationships between Black men and Black women. And I will have another room about Black women later on down the road, but Father's Day was yesterday, so might as well start with the men. I love you all. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.